teachers of Reddit. What is the most unprofessional thing one of the staff did at school? What happened because of it? In my high school physics class, one of my classmates asked a question. The teacher's response didn't answer the question, so my classmate said, "That's not what I meant. What I meant was." The teacher then started yelling at him, telling him that he was disrupting the class and so on. When the teacher walked away, my classmate turned to me and said he didn't know the answer. I nodded as this is exactly what had happened. That could been a great opportunity for the teacher to admit they didn't know, but then go through the process of showing everyone how to find the answer using internet or books. Adults should be mature enough to admit they're wrong without acting so childishly. Right, what an awful teacher. When my teachers didn't know the answers, they would always tell me that they'd get back to me on that, since they either didn't know the answer or were not knowledgeable enough in the topic to answer that particular question well enough. Not knowing the answer to every question isn't a failure on the teacher's part. My teachers would always say they learn alongside with us. The rules about student teachers are weird. They're supposed to take full control of the classroom with the regular teacher out of the room for a few weeks. However, since student teachers aren't licensed, if the regular teacher is out, the school has to call a sub. So I was a student teacher at a high school. The actual teacher was out and there was a sub in the building. Some students were talking about the rapper 6ix99 at the end of class, and after the bell rang, the sub, this significantly older man, walked over to me, a young woman he had known for all of 2 hours, and whispered in my ear, "Back in my day, we had 79, and then he told me what that was. I didn't report it, so nothing happened." Yeah, at my school I was one too. We call it teacher assistant. When the teacher is gone, having the teacher assistant teach is such a joke because students aren't going to listen to another student. I'm pretty sure 2 teachers at my school have slept with each other, even though one has a child and a wife and the other has a boyfriend, and also at least one parent each. Also in year 2, so I was about 10 and very emotionally fragile. We were painting a milk carton, the plastic ones that you find in corner stores, to turn it into a fake Roman Greek whatever vase. One person in my class, and only him, got to paint the bottom of his milk carton. Now, I didn't hear the teacher say that the class wasn't allowed to paint the bottom of the cartons, so I started to paint the bottom. The teacher, a 50 to 60 odd year old woman, comes up to me, an emotionally fragile slightly autistic 10-year-old, and full on screamed at me at the top of her lungs, "You're not supposed to do that. You are a failure, and you ruin everything that you touch." To be honest, I'm surprised I didn't start bawling right there and then. I actually am a teacher, but this incident happened when I was a student. One of my middle school teachers cut a lock of hair off the girl sitting next to me. He didn't even have a reason. I won't say a good reason, because there is no good reason to cut your student's hair beyond certain emergencies that won't arise after like 2nd grade. He just thought it would be fun to casually cut a student's hair and watch her freak out, as if this was an unreasonable reaction. As far as I know, there were no consequences. Hey, something like this happened to me in elementary. A student put gum in my hair when I was 7, and when I freaked out, the teacher cut a huge chunk of hair instead of even suggesting trying to wash it out. When I got home, that teacher got in big trouble for doing it though. I sometimes jokingly ask my students if they want a haircut, but at most I just pretend. Was a student in this lesson. English teacher is the wife of the maths teacher, but is sleeping with the pet teacher. The maths teacher must have found out during the middle of the day, because he took a cricket bat and battered the pet teacher with it whilst the lesson was going on. Any opinion on teachers carrying guns at schools? Live in UK, only really ever seen guns in odd gun shop, police, army, or farmer. Never actually seen a handgun either. If I remember right, you have to get written permission from government queen for a handgun, if not in armed forces. Cleaner death than a cricket bat to the head, so yes. Obviously she wasn't a very good English teacher. Was a student in this lesson fragment. Must have found out he took a cricket bat and battered. Story from my old Latin teacher. Mad respect for Dr. S. As always, she was applying for a senior position in the school and was talking to the head of 6th about it. Head of 6th turns around and tells her she only wants the job because she wanted more money for her family and that she wouldn't have gone for it if she didn't have a son. basically suggesting that she didn't want the job for legitimate professional reasons. Honestly, our head of 6th was useless and gets next to no respect, while Dr. S was wonderful. Really, the good doctor should be running that school by now, but she's too nice to push past people and get to the top, but hopefully she will get the recognition she deserves. I'm a student. Our district superintendent is currently in jail for stealing education materials from the elementary schools and using the district CR card to pay for everything from car repairs to student loans. There's apparently a whole ring of people that were involved and are waiting to be found out. It makes me sick. What education materials from elementary schools are worth stealing? Lol. Safety scissors. He stole these giant educational Lego sets and gave them to his son for Christmas. The worst part is that he had to give them back, so his son lost his Christmas gift. I feel really bad for the poor kid. One time in elementary, a kid who was legitimately autistic was reading a book he got from the library during math class. The teacher noticed it, and instead of calmly asking him to put the book away, he forcefully went up to the kid's desk, grabbed the book, threw it across the room with it landing behind a bookshelf. The kid exclaimed, "That's a library book." The teacher turned back to the kid and yelled in his face, "This is math class," and turned and stomped back to the board. It was probably one of the most awkward things I'd encountered as a bystanding student, lol, but it was also kinda epic in a 300 kinda way. This is madness. This is math class. Had a music teacher when I was in 4th grade who reportedly threw a chair. Don't know if it was at students or not because students weren't behaving. Another time he carried a student in their chair out into the hallway. He also got in trouble for showing Weird Al's music video of Jurassic Park is Frightening in the Dark, in which a claymation Barney's head is bitten off by another dinosaur. Less egregiously, he also showed The Wizard of Oz, not realizing that some kids would be terrified of the flying monkeys. He lasted the year, but was replaced the next year. I heard he ended up in jail for domestic assault. The international teacher circuit has its fair share of unprofessional teachers, but this one gets top prize. To English teachers apply for head of department, and the one who does not get it throws a tantrum at the end of Friday. On Monday, at 6 a.m., enters the school with a suitcase and clears her desk, no notice given. The school lent her furniture and appliances to furnish her apartment, and she sold it, or gave it away to friends. I believe there is an international alert for theft on her name. All for an odd position. Old deputy head at another school before this one. He used to walk around spinning his keys on his finger, so he could drop them under girls' desks and bend down to pick them up. Not at all subtle about it either. Not just a whoops clumsy me. No, he would do it 5 or 6 times in the space of a few minutes. Lots of us reported him many times. He was best buddies with the head, so it took an age to get anything done about him. He was suspended but still on the books when I left. No idea what came of it in the end. 2 teachers I used to work with at an early learning center had an extremely passive-aggressive dynamic with each other. One day, everything just blows up between them, and a yelling match ensues while the students were present. Insults of all sorts were thrown. The director of the center had to personally apologize to all the parents for the teacher's behavior. A week later, one of them got fired because they were having an affair with a parent. I went to a workshop where I was the only teacher. The rest of the attendees were principals or administration from the region. We had a dinner out and all walked back to the hotel together. There were 15 of us. Everyone else stole things from restaurant, gnomes and things from gardens on the walk back, and flags outside the local pub. I don't get why women think things like this are in groups. They turn into giggling mobs. My niece's class had a substitute teacher a couple of months ago. An hour before school let out, she packed up all her stuff, said, "I can't handle you guys anymore. School's over for the day," and left. My niece is in kindergarten. I don't know what happened to her, but she was only there the one day, so I can guess she was not welcome back again. This isn't terrible but definitely unprofessional. One of our teachers always replies to mass emails with GIFs, and it's always reply all. He has been warned several times by admin that mass emails is only for relevant information, but it hasn't deterred him at all. I mean, I enjoy GIFs as much as the next person, but his aren't very funny. In my middle school there was a teacher whom I'll call T. During one Saturday detention he was the only adult in the building, and he let the kids run around trashing the place. Holes were punched in walls, desks were thrown about, and some school equipment was damaged. He was fired, of course. Kind of an odd dude. My colleague once got yelled at by the school's disciplinarian in front of her students for something that was definitely not serious. She ended up crying in the staff room, but the whole school heard about it. He yells at teachers in front of their students every time, but even though we tried reporting him, it doesn't change anything. An 8th grade make teacher at my Catholic school showed the class Pretty Woman during their class Christmas party, and around the same time, kept the girls in at recess one day to teach them how to do breast exams to look for lumps. He was allowed to finish the year, but not rehired. Teacher in my high school would literally spray students with air freshener if he thought they smelled bad. Mind you, my high school is in a very low income area and several students don't have access to a shower or hygiene products regularly. It was a public shaming of the poor and very disgraceful. Teacher who had been at the school for forever and was loved by all his students set up his phone in a closet to record a female student who I believe was 16 who had went in there to change her shirt. She found the phone while changing, and he was fired and arrested. I worked with a teacher that would put the kids' test scores on blast and would tell other kids, make sure you focus on the next test so you don't get a score like Billy. She was extremely rude. What she did is illegal, at least in the US. English teacher got fed up and shoved everything off a student's desk before knocking it completely over. Then she told her to pick it all up. 5th grade teacher did this with my spelling book. Happened to a kid in my 1st grade class. A good contender would be the 60-year-old pet teacher at my high school, who hits on the majority of female students in his classes. He's the only person willing to teach that class at our school, so he still has his job, and I'm pretty sure he's married. The headmaster of the school I went to accused me of being the school snake stealer and throwing them onto school ceilings when I was in 3rd grade. 11 years old, all my life had this bad luck. Left the school next year, transferred to another preschool. A teacher pushed and broke a table over a child's back. Nothing happened to the teacher. Parent was scolded for not raising their child right. A 4-year-old SMH. French teachers used to swear at each other all the time, or when a student made a mistake. No, because most people there got forced to take French and no one wanted to. Our art teacher does unprofessional stuff multiple times a day, and nothing happens. Well, after he encourages kids to fight, of course they then start fighting. One time in high school, I saw a teacher grab a student and throw him hard to the ground. The students were fighting, but it still seemed unprofessional and overreactive. He was caught taking a girl in his car for special lessons. Went to prison for a ridiculously short 3 years. No idea where he is now. Story. A teacher of mine locked a disruptive kid in a small walk-in cupboard. Forgot about him until the next lesson, after an hour lunch break. My school director increased his son's exam points secretly. His son thanks to teachers for extra points and misconduct was revealed. The 6th grade English teacher threw some kid's saxophone at a locker and then did the same with the kid's phone. How ya doing, Mr. Gru? Stick there, used gum on a keyboard we had to share. Nothing happened because I just cleaned the keyboard and didn't say anything. My high school vice principal got fired for hotboxing with some students in the parking lot. My mom told me another teacher threw a fit when a kindergartens weren't listening.